Hi everybody, it's Mary Hurdle from Made by Marnie, and I'm here to share another segment on paper piecing tips. This tip is about pinning different segments together. I will be using this bunny in a basket block pattern to show you my next tip on paper piecing, and that is how to put segments together. Most blocks are made from a number of different segments. Oh, and by the way, this block will be available in the American Quilters magazine for March and April of 2025. For that issue, you'll find the bunny in the basket. And on the back, now this is in color because it was my original sketch. This is my design, and it has a number of segments in it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I. And you're going to have each piece, each segment, paper pieced individually. So here I have segments A and B, paper pieced, and I have a couple pins in here. Whenever there's a bigger piece, I like to keep it pinned down so it stays in place until I get it all sewn together. But I'm now ready to put segment A and segment B together. So you can see I'm very generous when I paper piece around the edges, and I leave the edges quite a bit of hangover, so it gives me more play now when I'm putting the pieces together, because sometimes you have pieces that really have to match up well. And on this block right now, I have to match up where the handles connect, and I want it to get to be the tightest connection I can so the handle looks like it's connected smoothly. So I'm only going to trim to my seam allowance line, which is the dotted line, using that nice quarter lip, quarter inch add a quarter ruler that I love to use. And I'm just trimming the seams that are going to be going together right now to a quarter inch. So I'm taking off all this little scrappy stuff on both sides, but I'm not trimming all the way around the piece. There's no reason to do that now. It's actually better not to do it now, because it gives you some excess fabric in case you do need a little bit of play. So now I've got my two seams that are going together trimmed. Nothing else needs to be trimmed at this moment. I really like using a wool mat for putting my segments together. It's a nice thick chunk of wool. I have a piece that's about 12 by 18. You can find this on Amazon. Just Google wool mat for ironing. It works kind of like an ironing board, so you can use that on anything, any backing, because it's a very thick piece, and it helps to get your seams really nice and crisp. So now normally I would just take these two corners and these two corners and pin them together, and look how great this wool mat works. If you put a pin through that bottom corner and put a pin through the other segment's bottom corner, and then you just pin it to the mat, and now you can rotate these into position and pin the rest together, and then you just take it out of the mat and finish pinning it. But because of the handle, I want the handle to really match well. I'm not going to pin it that way. I am going to peek inside my seam allowance and make sure this matches perfectly, and if it doesn't, I'm going to pull it up or down a little bit to adjust one of the segments so it does match better. And I'm going to pin that part first and make sure that's perfect. And now this is such a small piece, I don't even need to pin the rest of it. I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine and now sew on the solid line and through the seam allowance on both ends of the solid line. And that's what I've done here. So now you can see they're sewn together, and look at that nice even handle, worked out perfectly. Now I'm going to rip off the seam allowance that's here in this seam and in this seam, and then I'm going to press it open. Make believe I ripped that all off. Either I'll press both seams to one side, Or if it's a very bulky seam, like there are lots of different colors of fabric that have been connecting in that seam, then I might open it up and press it open. It just depends. And then I'm ready to trim at the bottom, because now this is the area that's going to be connecting to the rest of my block. So now I'll trim this and continue on. And I keep adding those segments until the whole block is done. And then I square the block up. And we'll be talking about squaring up the block on a different tip. This is just one part of paper piecing. If you're very new to paper piecing, you'll really want to watch the butterfly effect, which is another one of my YouTubes. If you just look at Mary Hurdle on YouTube and go into my channel, and it will be one of those. I have a lot of different videos that would help you with basic paper piecing. So check this out on American Quilters Magazine 2025 edition, March and April, for the adorable bunny in a basket. And I'll see you next month for another video.